we exhibit at legal conferences with certified legal nurse consultants. They usually start out the day and they are terrified of these attorneys. You know, attorneys are so scary. And for me, it's very fulfilling to witness the transformation that happens with the certified legal nurse consultants by the end of the day. But I wanted you to hear from them. And so I will be interviewing some of our CLNCs that we're exhibiting with here today at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day to see just how scary attorneys really are. Sherilyn, what's scary to you about attorneys?
The most scary thing about attorneys to me is that the first time that I came in contact with one, I was on the opposite side of the table, and it was kind of like, well, what did you do? So it's kind of like being sent to the principal's office, and nobody wants to be sent to the principal's office ever. So I think that's the most scary thing for me.
Okay, so you associate attorneys as an adversary, and today you're in the exhibit hall, and your goal is to turn these attorneys into your friend,
Yes.
and obviously as a professional friend. So let's see if we can turn that around for you, and I'll check in later in the day.
Alrighty.
Okay. So Sherilyn, earlier you said that you thought attorneys would be like, you know, going to the principal's office.
Yes.
And I've been watching you, and actually you are knocking it out of the park with these attorneys. So they're really not scary, are they?
Not as scary as I thought. Usually, they're kind of like talking to the doctors that I work with. Sometimes the doctors are a little cranky and you have to break them out of their headspace. But once you break them out of that headspace and you start having conversations with them, it gets easier.
Yeah. And you're really a natural, and what I liked about you is that you just have a conversation. You don't come across like you're trying to sell anything. You're just really talking to them, like from one person to another. And that makes them comfortable with you. So I'm so glad to see that they're not as scary as you thought they would be.
So am I.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Vicki Pettigrew, and Vicki, what's scary to you about attorneys?
They're just intimidating because they speak so eloquently, and that can be a little intimidating when you're not used to. They get their point across. You know, they're just a different breed. You're not used to them yet.
Okay, so I know this is your first time exhibiting, and I know you're a little frightened of attorneys. I'm going to check back with you at the end of the day to see how you feel then.
Okay, great.
Vicki, earlier you were telling me that you were intimidated because attorneys are so eloquent, and then off video you kind of mentioned that they pretty much can persuade and get what they want through language, through articulation. And they don't have to raise their voice. They don't have to say a single curse word. You cracked me up when you said that. All right, so now that you've been here talking to these attorneys, honestly, are they still intimidating?
Not near as intimidating. They're more like real life people, and they're easier to talk to once you have a few key questions that you want to probing questions for them. It's working out very well. I'm learning a lot, and I'm a lot more comfortable than I was.
Great. And so just practicing, doing it
Yes.
helps you, doesn't
This
it?
has been an enormous help.
Yeah. And so often I'll work with somebody and they're very shy. I don't think that's you. You're kind of naturally not that shy of a person. But I've even had shy people say, I just had to get myself out there and do it to find out that these attorneys are not really scary.
They're real people.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so Michelle, you mentioned to me that you're not afraid of attorneys.
No, I'm not.
But that you're a little nervous to
Yes.
get into this exhibit hall. So tell me what you're nervous about.
I'm nervous about that next question. What to say after the initial greeting?
Okay. But I know you've been practicing, right?
I have been.
So the nervousness is not so much about what do I do, it's the actual doing it.
Right.
So I'm going to check in with you at the end of the day and see if the actual doing is not so hard.
We're hoping so.
So, earlier, Michelle, you shared with me that you're not afraid of attorneys, but that you were nervous about talking to them. And, and so tell me, has that shifted for you here today?
It has shifted. I feel a lot more comfortable, a little bit more confident. One thing is Susan's been with us, the mentor, and she's awesome for those questions that I haven't known how to answer exactly. She steps in and starts to answer them, but I have gained some confidence.
Yes. And I want to say I am very impressed with everybody because our mentors do demonstrate. And I think it's great to see you guys come behind and actually learn from that demonstration.
Yes.
And just so everybody knows, our mentors are not allowed to sell to these attorneys. They cannot go home with any business from these attorneys. We at the Institute and our mentors, we're really here for you and your business. And you said something else to me that I think is important. You said, you know, I am an expert at what I do. And when I'm talking to attorneys about that, that's when I'm most comfortable.
Absolutely.
Did that happen today?
Yes. As nurses, we're comfortable in our specialty and we are confident in what we do. And so not being confident with being new to this was what was making me nervous. That's what caused me to be really nervous. But as we go on and I start talking about how I answer tort claims for the federal government, it becomes very easy and I feel more at ease about it.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations. Kathy, you're here exhibiting for your first time as a CLNC, and you told me that attorneys are not scary, and a lot of it has to do because your first degree was in advertising. So tell me how that helped you to not be afraid of attorneys.
Well, when you meet with the client, which is the same as an attorney, they want to know what you're going to do for them, and most of them want it just about 3 points. You cover about yourself, and one of the best things you can do is ask them questions, so that tells you what your next question to them will be. And most attorneys won't ask you a question in court that they don't already know the answer to anyway.
So engage that person. Just get a conversation started. Just pretend like this is just somebody you're meeting casually.
Right.
And don't be so vested in the outcome.
Right.
And so serious about the outcome. Great advice. Thank you. So Kathy, you told me that your first degree was in advertising, and
That's
so
right.
attorneys are not so scary to you. So tell us a little bit about what you learned through advertising.
Okay. The thing about working with people in advertising is that if you know what you are talking about, that you can convince them of anything. So be confident, tell them, give them a few facts, not more than 3 or 4 about yourself and or the product, whatever you're selling, and they will, they'll remember you just because of your smile or something you said to them, and create a relationship between you and the attorney or their group, and that helps you to, when you call back, because you always follow up. I saw you, 2 days ago, and I'm just following up to say hi and to get home safely. Excuse me. Did you get home safely? And how are you doing?
So great advice for any beginner. Attorneys don't have to be quite so scary if you think about them as more of a friend and just somebody that you're trying to develop a relationship
Right.
with.
I agree.
Thank you so much. And Tina, the question I have is, are attorneys scary to you?
Yes, very scary. They're a group of people that I've never had to talk to before. I talk to CEOs, I talk to department heads, and I talk to doctors, and they don't scare me, but I've been doing it for a long time. So yeah, I'm a little nervous that I'll seem out of place.
Okay, and so I want you to remember what you just told me, that you talk to some pretty high-level people every day, CEOs, doctors, and when you're in that exhibit hall, you remember that when you're talking to these attorneys. I'm going to check in later to see if they're still so scary.
Okay, I hope they're not.
Tina, this morning you said, okay, I can talk to CEOs, I can talk to hospital administrators, but these attorneys, they're scary. All right, now we're approaching the end of the day. Are they really scary?
No, they're not. They're not scary. once you talk to them kind of socially at first, and you know, they smile and they talk to you and they're willing to answer your questions and get them to talk about what they need to talk about too. I find that it really is true when you say, they know law, I know medicine. And for me, that made a big difference today.
Very good. And I really enjoyed observing you actually talking about your core expertise as a nurse. I think that was brilliant, and you did it in such a great way.
Oh, thank you.
As you can see, these are real certified legal nurse consultants. They started out this day, most of them saying, I am afraid of attorneys. They are scary. By the end of the day, not a single CLNC consultant believes that attorneys are scary. You heard everything from all I have to do is talk to them like they're a real person, because they are a real person, to all I have to do is get out there and put myself out there. So go ahead, talk to attorneys. They really are not that scary.